And so what the Hermetic corpus does is it explains the laws and the principles that were believed by the ancients, supposedly going all the way back to the ancient Egyptians. And by learning these laws and learning these principles, you can effectively bring about change within yourself and within the world around you. And so hi, thank you for joining me. I'm Aaron Tomlinson, and today I want to talk about the occult. Again, a little bit more. Some of you in the comments in the last video said that it was a topic that you would enjoy learning more about, and it's a topic that I enjoy talking about. So I want to talk about just some basic principles. And again, I want to remind you, when we're talking about the occult, we're not talking about Satan worship. We're not talking about evil. We're not talking about something that's of the devil or demonic or dark. There are aspects of the occult that do those things, but that's not the main occult tradition in the West. The main occult tradition in the West goes back to a individual known as Hermes Trismegistus, and what's called the Hermetic corpus. The Hermetic corpus, or a group of writings that are very ancient, that predate the time of Christ, that were very influential in Greek philosophy, and then was revived again in Europe in the Renaissance, and then saw another revival towards the middle of the 19th century and into the early 20th century. And it's known by many terms. It's known as Hermetic teaching. It's known as the perennial wisdom. And it's also identified as occult because it's studying things that are not seen. So one of the basic principles of the occult is this idea of what they call a macrocosm and a microcosm. And basically, that's just a fancy way of talking about things we've already talked about on this channel, which is the objective world at large out there and the subjective world of our own consciousness and our own experience of experiences. They make a distinction. The macrocosm is the universe. It's the world out there that exists independently of us. The microcosm is our own inner universe, our inner experiences, our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions, our sexuality. All of that's included in the microcosm. And what Hermetic wisdom would teach is that there are certain principles or laws that operate independently of anybody's belief. They just operate like laws that function, and principles that function both in the universe and within our own subjective consciousness. So if you find a principle out there in the world, you'll find the same principle inside of yourself. If you find a principle inside of yourself that works, you'll find a principle outside. And so the purpose of the Hermetic teachings, or of the perennial wisdom, is for a human being to learn how to calibrate or harmonize the inner and the outer. This is where we get the maxim that some of you may be familiar with: as above, so below. And so occult teaching is, while it investigates the paranormal, while it does encompass things like magic or using your will to affect change in the macrocosm or in the world around you, it certainly involves engagement with unseen beings like angels and archangels and things like this. You don't necessarily have to believe in those things. It encompasses paranormal experiences. But the primary objective in occult teaching, or in the Hermetic stream of occult teaching, is really to make change within the subjective universe, within your own subjective experience. That was where the real magic would be, to be able to change yourself. And by changing yourself, then you can effect change in the world around you. And so what the Hermetic corpus does is it explains the laws and the principles that were believed by the ancients, supposedly going all the way back to the ancient Egyptians. And by learning these laws and learning these principles, you can effectively bring about change within yourself and within the world around you. And so that's the value of studying it. But I want to point one more thing out. It's very important to understand that in this realm of occult teaching, there is no dogma. You don't have to believe a specific thing. You don't have to believe things about God. You don't have to believe things about the world or about yourself. And actually, you shouldn't be forcing your own subjective opinions or experiences onto other people. So it's very clear through the Gnostic tradition of the Christians and throughout the occult writings that you will, if you engage in occult practices, you will have lots of experiences internally and in your own consciousness, but those experiences are subjective to you. Now, the difference is between where we're at today in the Western world with scientific materialism and where they were during the Renaissance or where they were during the mid-19th century. The difference is that subjective experience would be honored as an aspect of reality. It's an aspect of your own microcosm, your own internal universe. And so the Gnostics taught that you could know the occult or the hidden or the mysterious or God or the unseen realm through your experience. That's what the word gnosis means. And so when we start looking at the occult and occult teaching, it's about honoring your subjective experience as real and valuable and learning to honor those things for yourself. However, we're not supposed to push our subjective experience as reality upon the macrocosm, the larger universe, including other people that are around us. So thank you for watching this video. You made it all the way to the end. I'd love to have you join our community on Facebook. The link is in my bio, so please check it out if you like the content and want to follow along.